Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to whatever the fuck this is. That's just something I've been saying every time I do this now, whatever the fuck this is, because I don't really have a name or a title for the show. I think whenever I do them before noon, I'm going to just call them the Wake and Bake. And, because I love marijuana. I mean, that's one thing I got going for me all the time, and I'm consistent as fuck on, is my love for marijuana. So good morning, boys and girls. I hope everybody's doing really well out there. It's fucking Wednesday, September 7th in the year of 2022, man. I put out a little status and was like, yo, what you want to talk about? It's something I used to do all the time, man. I used to net a lot more comments. And unfortunately didn't net a whole lot of comments. But I did net some. And that people want to talk about. Gary Dale wants to talk about how we need to break the system with a revolution and not a civil war. Well, I agree with Gary. It's just that we're so easily controlled, man. I woke up this morning and I started browsing Facebook like we all do, Let's not act like that's some shit that people don't do. That's how we all get down today, man. We wake up, we take a leak, we make some coffee, we look at Facebook, okay? The first thing I see when I'm on Facebook is, the politics talk, man. I don't even watch the news anymore because it's all that's there. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there. I can't say that I even care, honestly. I mean, I care about what's going on out there, but the shit that the news is telling us is the most irrelevant shit. It really is, We've gotten a good look at just how fucked up the media outlets and the social medias are lately. And I just don't even know how people are still, I don't know, playing into it, like watching the shit every day. How do you do it, The thing I really don't get is the people who still think that politicians can save us, man. That shit drives me nuts. I'd love to just talk about happy-go-lucky shit. I'd love to just make jokes and I'd also love to have more fans, if that makes sense. Because let's not get it twisted, though. I don't want fans because it'll get me paid or it'll get me recognized out there. I just want more people to kind of listen to the things that are being said here because I don't feel like people are saying them enough everywhere else. And I dogged politics. I dogged them out, man, because I feel like in the last 3 years, especially, we've gotten a good look at just how much the government plays together when it comes to all the big deals that truly affect Americans in their daily lives. And, we had some crazy shit go down in the last couple of years, man. The coronavirus literally changed the entire globe and the way that we do things. And anybody who says that it didn't is just being naive or willfully ignorant. I mean, if you think that the world hasn't changed, just go out on a Saturday night. Me and the wife were coming home from doing something last Saturday night, and all I noticed was the lack of traffic. Businesses close at 10 o'clock on weekends anymore. And why? Why? Well, they'll use a bunch of excuses. I mean, everything from saying that it saves them money to they didn't make enough money after hours to the crime's too high, it's not worth being open, nobody's out, businesses aren't patronizing. Man, the world really changed a lot and we didn't even really seem to notice, man. And we don't notice a lot of shit to me, and I'm just going to say that the Trump-Biden argument is so redundant and ridiculous to me, man. I just don't, and I like Benji Bogardus, man, but he kind of let me have it this morning and said that for a guy who says he doesn't like politics, I talk about it a lot. And I do, man. I do, because I want people to snap the fuck out of it. I really feel like we, the people, have the power to change and manipulate our environment. Matter of fact, we are the most powerful entity on the planet, but only if we play together. I guess the reason why I'm telling you this is because everything that the media says and everything that the media does and that the government does and that the media tells us about the government doing is set up to keep that from happening. When I say keep that from happening, again, I'm referring to people coming together, right? to like-minded individuals taking a big look at the big picture, realizing we're getting fucked over, and coming together to actually solve the problems that we have today. And if you ask me, one of our biggest problems that we have today is the United States government. It's not just the United States government, it's the global governments. You know, if these were groups of people who were interested in the greater good, I would back the ideas that politicians bring, but they're not. And no one can say that they are anymore, because it's very obvious that the global governments are ran entirely by corporations and money. You know, crime is a big problem. It really is. But why are we experiencing so much crime? That's the question we need to ask. You know, why is there so much crime? I mean, whenever I ask that question, and this is the thing with the comments, man. I could just run off on tangents all the time, but what I'd like to stay focused on is trying to get people to come together, because I'm so sick of the idea that we can change politics with politicians. I mean, we know that there is a ton of problems in the United States government. We know that corporations call the shots. We know that lobbying happens. We know that there's politicians out there that are building their net worth and their portfolios based on future legislation that's going to come through that maybe only they know about, or it's like insider trading as far as I'm concerned. You know, we have a lot of problems. We have a Federal Reserve who's in charge of our money and our interest rates, who basically isn't federal or a reserve. They had absolutely nothing to do with the government pre-coronavirus. You know, nobody really knows that the Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury combined in April of 2019, you know, that nobody even really cares about how all these things work. The thing that really drives me nuts about it is that people look at the most simplest math and they come up with their ideas. Like, people really think that since 2018 and 2019, we had lower gas prices and things were cheaper because we weren't suffering from inflation, that Donald Trump must have been better for the fucking planet. Guys, that shit makes me nuts, man, because when you go look at the coronavirus bills and packages, the biggest coronavirus stimulus package we signed happened under the Trump regime. Now, this isn't me saying that Joe Biden is better than Trump, and it drives me crazy that I even have to say that. I'm going to pause for 1 minute and I'm going to say, fuck the entire government. Okay. Like, I need you to understand that that's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying that the Democrats are better than the Republicans, and I'm not saying that the Republicans are better than the Democrats. What I am saying to you is that they are the same thing. I know that the news might want you to believe otherwise. I know that everything they say makes it seem like Donald Trump is an outsider, and he's really trying to change, and he cares about normal people like you and me. Like, the shit drives me nuts, honestly, because all the information out there, the data, if you will, indicates otherwise. We've seen the largest transfer of wealth in human recorded history occur in the last 3 years. You know, guys like Elon Musk built their self-worth up 600%. That shit's crazy. Okay. Now, do you think that Donald Trump has more in common with Elon Musk, or does Donald Trump have more in common with you? Think about it for a second. I mean, I get to talking about Donald Trump because he's the focal point. I wish that it wasn't like that, because I feel like that's what Donald Trump's job was to become the focal point. Okay. He's an actor in a theater. All right. You know, it's like we forgot that the names were on his checks. And yes, I'm harping on Donald Trump because he is the focal point and of the division, because there is literally 50% of the fucking country that believes that Donald Trump is the solution to these problems. We just had Donald Trump as a president for 4 fucking years, for 4 years. And here we are 2 years outside of the presidency, and shit's hell in a handbasket. And you know, the simpletons will compute the data and be like, well, must have been the president. Goddamn Democrats. That's the idea. Okay, honestly, like, if you ask me, the whole thing's been by design. The Clinton-Trump race was designed to put Donald Trump in office. I mean, all you have to do to confirm that idea is go back and look at the Democratic convention, go look at Bernie Sanders, go look at Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders was a fucking shoe-in to be president. Whether you agree with his ideas or not, or you're going to start screaming about socialism and communism and all this other bullshit, the fact of the matter stands is that Bernie Sanders was extremely popular with the people, and Hillary Clinton was a fucking dud. Why would the Democrats still run Hillary Clinton if they wanted to win? I honestly feel like we're playing right into their hands, and they're playing long ball with us. Okay, so they throw out Hillary, who's a piece of fuck. We can't stand her. First of all, she just looks like a cunt, okay? Second of all, she got all kinds of shitty things in her track record. Bill's a fucking mess. The Clintons themselves, the whole fucking weird involvement with them and pedogate and all that shit. And I know, man, fucking people say, oh, it's all, fucking, it's all conspiracy theory shit that he's spouting. But man, Jeffrey Epstein really throws a wrench in the idea that all that shit's conspiracy theory, okay? Like, all these things tie together, man, and all these people play together. Donald Trump has been friends with the Clintons since fucking I've been paying attention, okay? Donald Trump's, you say he's not a politician. Well, he's been at political events. He's been rubbing elbows. He is the corporation that pays for votes. They did everything to block Sanders because they didn't want Sanders to win. Sanders would have beat Donald Trump by a landslide. Now, that's if you think that the popular vote actually makes a difference, because the Electoral College actually picks the president, and we've seen that the Electoral College can go against the popular vote. They have absolutely no responsibility, or they're not expected to follow the popular vote whatsoever, and it fucks with me because, like, literally they can just put whoever they want in there. But they ask us for the popular vote so that they can play with our minds. It's more or less about seeing where we're at as a public. And if you think that the CIA isn't out there using social media and media groups, then you haven't read a whole lot, man. Look up Operation Mockingbird. Look up Operation Paperclip. Look up all these things where the CIA basically gets involved in pop culture to shape the minds of Americans. We've read about World War II. We've read about the propaganda that Nazi Germany used. And then somehow we still think that we're not being subjected to the same shit that everyone else throughout history has been. It fucking blows my mind. And, Benji, just to talk directly to you, I like Benji, man. I consider Benji a friend, and I know that I upset him when I talk about the Donald Trump thing, and then I particularly mock people who support Donald Trump and think that he's the savior. I'm not doing that to hurt your feelings. I'm saying these things because I feel like they need to be said. A lot of what I'm saying is getting lost in translation because we're so polarized that we think that if I don't like Donald Trump, then I must for sure like the Democrats. I don't. Okay? I like the idea of Americans standing together and demanding change. That's what I like, okay? I'm not telling people to go willy-nilly. I know I make jokes about not paying taxes and things like that, but honestly, I'd be fine with paying taxes if our money was managed properly, if the infrastructure was there, if the streets and the roads and everything supported the idea that we're giving them trillions of dollars every year. They're spending more than they get. Our national debt continues to go up. We're going to be paying for this shit for generations. The government isn't necessarily the ones that are totally responsible for that. The Federal Reserve keeps printing money, which devalues our current currency in play. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about here, guys, but the fact and the bottom line is that the only way any of this changes is if we stop the petty arguments, if we stop pretending that one political party is better than the other, if we start looking at the big picture, at the bills that truly affect us the most, and then we work together to stop these things, Like, we don't even have to be violent. We just have to stand together. I mean, you understand this, right? There is power in numbers. I'm not asking anybody to go crazy. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to fight with anybody. I don't want to risk my life. But if we keep waiting and we keep letting it get worse, that's what's going to happen. Now, what I'm offering is the idea that we come together. We stop arguing, and we tell these politicians we're not playing this shit anymore either, that they either do the job like they're supposed to, or the people will have to address those problems. A party as simple as fuck the billionaires would help. I know that's a ridiculous thing, and people get upset. It drives me nuts that people are always defending billionaires too, by the way. They're always pretending that they're going to get their shot to be a billionaire, when the truth of the matter is the system isn't really set up for you to be successful. Okay, now, can you be successful? Sure. Are you going to be billionaire successful? No, Probably not. I feel very confident saying that not because I'm a fucking hater, not because I don't want you to be a billionaire, just because that's not really how it works. Unless you were born into that kind of shit already. I mean, let's look at all the billionaires that are already out there. They didn't come up with some fucking idea that paid them billions. They came from a family who was already wealthy. They took that already wealthy money and they put it into some other shit, and then they pushed a business and they lobbied and they paid Congress people to make regulations through the FDA that would affect their business doing better. This isn't me making shit up. This isn't me being dramatic. This is literally how it works. The FDA is a joke. All that shit is a joke. I mean, I could show you how. I could explain to you how the FDA is a joke. I mean, look, we've seen it really in live, vivid color in the last 3 years. This is the same FDA that wants to lower the amount of nicotine in cigarettes, but all the harmful chemicals can stay in there. This is the FDA that says that vaping is bad for kids. Yeah, well, inhaling anything is bad for kids, but isn't it better than cigarettes? This is the same FDA that allows children's food to have heavy metals and toxins in the baby fucking food. This is the same FDA that approved Pfizer with an untested, first of its kind mRNA vaccination, and told everybody they can get it, even kids under 5 now. And then we wonder why we're having a large occurrence of stroke and sudden death in young, otherwise healthy adults. The shit blows my mind because to me, none of this is a stretch. It's not very hard to see. We look around and we see how these regulatory commissions are failing us, how we have cities in America without drinking water. Jackson, Mississippi, no drinking water. When you bring that up to people, here's the fucked up thing. They say shit like, well, that goddamn Democrats ran it into the ground. I don't feel bad for them at all. Or, oh, it's a Republican state. It's a Republican state. We can't help them. They're always wanting to opt out of some shit, like, what about the people? What about the people who don't have drinking water, man? Because seriously, like those people paid their bills, their water bills, and they don't have potable drinking water. And then whenever I suggest the idea that it's archaic that we're still paying for water and we're still paying for electric and we're still paying for gas when these things are necessities. We've made these things necessities. We require you to have them and we get rich on you getting them. Now, people will tell you that there's an energy crisis. If there was an energy crisis, then you would be able to go look at the energy companies and owners' portfolios and you would see them losing money because it would cost more money for them to develop energy than they are bringing in. But that's not what we're seeing, is it? What we're seeing is those corporations making record fucking profits. So again, it's just about looking at the big picture. To me, listen, I love the American dream. I love the idea that we've been fed, man. I really do. I love what the country stands for or what it's supposed to stand for. I just think that we've lost our way. And these politicians are all playing together. And yes, it's a global scale. It's on a global scale. You think there's global trade, global capitalism, and you think that they don't play together? I mean, wow. You could tell me that there's crises whenever the money matches the crisis, okay? You can't tell me that we're experiencing all these shortages and that groceries and food shortages and energy shortages while all of these companies unilaterally show the biggest profit that they've ever shown in existence. Make it make sense to me, man. Make it make sense. Tell me how we're having crises and shortages. Tell me how we're flipping the tab, how we're doing all these things that corporations are booming. It's the big picture. You got to turn the fucking news off, man. You got to turn the fucking news off. Turn on guys like me. You don't have to turn on me. Turn on other dudes. Russell Brand's out there saying a lot of nice shit, and I know you're going to tout off everybody who's saying something that doesn't agree with the mainstream, a fucking conspiracy theorist or a rebel rouser. But Joe Rogan, man, has basically, I don't, like, why aren't more people listening to Joe Rogan now? I don't really understand it, man, because like all the media has to do is go out there and say that these people are full of shit or they're crazy. Doesn't matter how many truths they've told. Doesn't matter how many honest, open interviews they've done. All the media has to do is tell you what to think and you'll think it. Or you'll think the opposite of what they told you to think because it wasn't the channel that you watch. I mean, you see that the pickle we're in? I hope you do because I see it And it's getting worse, man. You know, I mean, we're seeing all the effects of the lockdown come back. All the reports are coming out. The mortality is higher than it's ever been. The kids are dumber than they've ever been. And that's not me insulting your kids. I love your kids. I love my kids. I want our kids to be smart because a smarter children make smarter futures. They make better decisions for everybody, not just for themselves, but for us, for the whole. You know, when are we going to start thinking about the greater fucking good? We got all this technology, we got all this shit. But then when I start suggesting using that technology to improve the human experience as opposed to increasing profits, people lose their fucking minds. Oh my God, Brock's a fucking communist. Oh my God, Brock's a fucking socialist. The news told me to be scared of that shit, so I'm fucking scared of that shit. Well, how long can we keep this up, guys? How long? How long until we've maximized every profit that we can and we just run out of fucking everything? You know, because literally they're just raising the prices on shit and decreasing the volume. Why? So they make more money. So we feel more inspired to go buy the shit. They're everything that they do is convincing us to do some shit. You know what I want to convince you to do? I want to convince you to enjoy your life. I want to convince you to take a look at the big picture. I want to convince you to join Team fucking People. Because seriously, I believe that most of you people out there are good fucking people. I believe that good people can do bad things, and I believe that shit happens. But I believe that most people, when given the opportunity to help someone, do the right thing. You know? I mean, the real opportunity where people are looking at you and they're waiting for you to make the decision that you're going to make that's either going to negatively or positively impact someone else. You will make the positive decision most of the time, because I honestly believe that most people out there are truly good people. I think the situations and environment can change a lot of things, man, but I like to believe that most people out there are good people. So join me. Join me in Team People, man. Join me in stopping the political arguments, okay? I don't want to mock you. I don't want to mock you, but if you still believe in politicians at this point, I have to believe that you're naive. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I have to believe you're willfully ignorant. I have to believe that you're just so invested in your politics at this point that you're just going to ride that motherfucker down till it burns with you in it. And the whole time you just want to be part of a team. Well, let's join. Let's make a new team. Let's make Team People. And let's start working together to make life better for everybody. All right. And I know the first thing people say when you say that are, well, I don't want to give somebody something for free. Everybody's got to work for shit. You know, listen, man, I agree. We all need to work together to further the human experience. I agree. But that work shouldn't be like working 50 hours so you can get your check tax down to 70% of what you made, while a corporation makes fucking crazy money hand over foot over your labor, while you struggle to keep your lights on, while you struggle to have clean, potable drinking water, despite your paying the bill. You know, fuck, man. Do you get it? Someone tell me they get it. Someone tell me they understand exactly what it is that I'm saying here, man, because it's frustrating, you know? Because like as soon as I embark in these conversations and I try to get people to ditch the polarized political shit, they bounce right back to it. It's time for Americans to be sick of this shit. It's time for Americans to say no more truth ministry, no more controlled thoughts, no more propaganda, no more bullshit. And the way that we do that is by not supporting the entities most responsible for that. So turn off your Fox, turn off your CNN. Don't turn that shit on, man. Leave that shit there because they're lying to you and you know it. You know it, but they're feeding your bias, so you love it. You know? I don't want to say that people are brainwashed, but that's honestly the truth, man. I mean, let's just think back to 3 years ago. Motherfuckers was covering themselves in sheet plastic, wearing fucking masks and astronaut outfits and all kinds of shit to go out in public. There were motherfuckers who were swimming in pools with fucking masks on. There are people that were telling you that you should be exiled and shouldn't be able to shop in a fucking grocery store. And then here we are 3 years later, the CDC changed every goddamn guideline that they have, and the vaccinated and the unvaccinated are both treated exactly the same now. If you don't believe me, go look at it. But that's just an example, okay? I'm just giving you an example of how easily and fucked up things get whenever our brains are being controlled. And they're being controlled, just come to terms with it. And start thinking for yourself, man. Start realizing that they have a goal when they're telling you these things. They're not telling you these things to be informative. Okay, just like I'm like I feel bad for that girl that was kidnapped and murdered, but I feel like they exemplify these stories to like stop people from jogging. I know that sounds stupid. They want people to be scared of doing shit. So I see all these people warning each other, like if you jog, take precautions, do this and that. I'm not saying you shouldn't take precautions when you jog. I'm just saying that you're most likely not going to be abducted and murdered by someone, The news shows us the most terrible stories, and then we get this idea that shit's happening everywhere, and it's not. Is there crime going on? Are things fucked up? Yes, they are. But your fellow man is still your fellow man, okay, for the most part. There are some terrible ass people out there, though, and I won't pretend that there's not. I'm somewhere in between. I want you to stay calm, and I want you to stay vigilant. That seems like a foreign concept to a lot of people, but less division is what we need. Okay, that's my goal. It just gets lost in translation. I get frustrated. I want people to ditch the political parties. I want people to say to the government, enough's enough. Imagine if we just didn't go vote for president. Imagine you went and voted for everything else and you left your presidential election blank and everybody did the same thing. What would they do? How would they fuck the numbers up? It would blow their mind. They'd be like, yo, what the fuck? And then people would have to say, we don't really like any of these options. And we feel like these are corrupt politicians turned businessmen who are selling the futures of young Americans to further their family or their ideas or their career, not ours, not we the people. Do you feel represented by Joe Biden or Donald Trump? I don't. I don't even feel represented by Parsons or our local reps. Our local reps only come out and show their faces when it's time to get a vote. That should tell you a lot, but I didn't want to drone on about goddamn government, man. I really like to just talk about the daily occurrences, like to, talk about local things. I like to cover local news. I like to show local businesses, but we get caught up in this conversation a lot. And what all I want you to get out of it is not that the orange man is bad and not that Joe Biden is good, because neither one of them are. They're both pieces of shit. What I'd like you to come to terms with is the fact that you're comparing two shit piles and then picking a favorite. And I can't understand why you're holding shit, man. I just don't understand why you're sniffing shit. Like, I can just look at these two things and tell that they're shit. I don't want to smell them. I'm definitely not going to vote for which one I like more. And I'm not playing this game. This game sucks. This game's shit, man. And, people are so willing to fight with each other over the shit. Why not fight with the problem? Why not come together to fight the problem? Don't fight your fellow dude. He didn't have nothing to do with it. His opinion was made by someone else. So was yours. So step outside the box, realize that dude has more in common with you than the politicians ever will, and then kind of come to terms with the idea that you're fighting with your fellow man while the lords live different lives. And I call them lords because I don't think the kings ever went away. I think we just changed their title. I think the whole thing of splitting with England is just bullshit. The whole reason why we split was no taxation without representation. That wasn't us saying we didn't want to be taxed. That was us saying that we didn't want to be taxed unless we were represented, unless we had someone speaking for us. I think we're in the same pickle right now, man. Do you feel like someone's speaking for you? Do you feel like a politician really has your best interest at heart? Or do they care more about their lobbyist friends and how they feel? This shouldn't be hard to answer. It doesn't take any imagination. You don't have to look hard. This isn't me making up something that's far-fetched or hard to believe. Lobbyists buy votes. Corporations mold the politicians. They give each other favors, look at Joe Biden. Look at Hunter. Unbelievable that he worked in Ukraine as an energy advisor, and now we're involved in a proxy war with Ukraine, which is just another profit generator and another way to throw the country into more debt and another way to sacrifice our sons and daughters. Honestly, it drives me, it saddens me because people are so heartfelt. They feel so passionately about it. They're like, my kid's in the military and I'm proud as fuck. I'm scared as fuck, bro. I'm scared as fuck that the military, the government's going to send your kid to a foreign land to die for something that will make no difference. Like Vietnam. How disappointing is Vietnam? Tons and tons of American lives lost for what? for nothing, for a proxy war. We know in hindsight that war was a waste of time, yet somehow people still sign up for the military. Iraq war, proxy war, built on total bullshit. Nothing changed. Still send our sons and daughters to the military. Operation Enduring Freedom, 20-year proxy war. Nothing changed. Still signing our kids up for the military. Dude, that's fucked up to me, okay? And I hope for kids in the military that they come back safe and sound and healthy. But we know that that's not how people come back from the military. People come back from the military with PTSD, with cancer, and with problems generated by the U.S. government and their inability to do things the right way, like burn pits, the camps in Vietnam, Operation Orange. Should I continue? What is the common fucking denominator in all these problems? That's right. The United States government. You could talk with people about these and they'll agree with you. They'll be like, yeah, Vietnam was fucked up. Like all these things, Gulf of Tonkin was a lie. It was propaganda. We used it to start wars. We used it to engage in war. We know that there were lies about, fuck, man. The entire time they've been lying to us and we just keep taking it. You know, there's fucking 330 million of us here. 330 million of us. You know how many politicians there are? A couple hundred. Imagine if we could just get a third of Americans to come together on the same ideas. A third to come together and be like, yeah, you know what? We're getting fucked. Republicans and Democrats, they are all wearing business suits. They're all eating differently and shopping differently and experiencing life differently than us. Yet they're making rules and fucking for us that they don't follow. What part of what I'm saying here is far-fetched or hard to compute, man? What part is incorrect? I'm inviting people to say that. Look, I'll put my number in the comments. I'll tell you could call me, okay? But every time I put the number out, I'm going to go to Facebook real quick. Every time I put the number out on this, it's live on YouTube right now. You could call me and I will answer the phone and I will talk to you about it. And you could try to, I guess, explain to me. Let me go to YouTube and make the comment maybe. Here I am. Oh, yeah, look at that sexy guy. Let's turn this down. What? There's no comments? Analytics? I can't comment? Got it. 304 769 7467. That's my number. So now if you want to call it or you got some ideas or you got a part that you want to tell me is incorrect, then you can call me right now and you could tell me how I'm incorrect. And I'll try to explain to you. Maybe you can open my mind to something. I don't need to explain. Maybe you can change my mind. Call me up, change my mind, man. Tell me how Donald Trump is going to save us all, or tell me how Joe Biden's going to save us all. I don't give a fuck. Tell us how Jesus fucking Christ is going to save us all. I'll listen. I'll give you a go. If you start getting ridiculous, I'm probably just going to hang up on you, but you can call me. Motherfuckers never call, though. I like to just engage in positive conversation. I like to have, if you want to come out here and start and be in a show, you want to guest host one day, we got more seats. I got more mics. You can come sit down with me. We can have this conversation face to face, in person, you know, like civilized human beings. Anyway, I guess this is the part of the day where I'm just going to, Gary Dale, I hope that covered it for you, bud. I hope it covered it for you because I really did my best, man, to try to explain, you know, because like, honestly, we'll be in a fucking civil war before we'll be in a revolution, and that's fucking disgusting. I mean, it really is fucking disgusting. It blows my mind, if I'm being honest about it, because like the fact that there would be infighting before we fought the major problem, that's just gross, man. And the government would love that shit. You know, the government would love if we started fighting each other, because then they get to clamp down on us even tighter for our own safety. I mean, we've seen in the last year all the talk about domestic terrorists. They're gearing up for that because they know that people are getting pissed off. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to mold your mind to make you think of militias and Timothy McVeigh's and crazy shit, because that's who they want you to assimilate militias with. Militias used to be a good word. When you said militia, that was like a heroic thing to do, being involved in a militia. Now, when you say the word militia to people, what do they think? Cult, crazy, racists, all kinds of shit, because that's what you've been taught to think. You've been taught to think that anybody who operates outside of the government's guidelines is a fucking danger and a threat to democracy and national security. That's what you've been trained to think. And they're training you to think that about everybody. Look at the last 4 years. We had the Minneapolis riots. They called everybody up there terrorists, said it was a matter of national security. We had the January 6th insurrection. We got Democrats and Republicans, both examples, both called terrorists and threats to democracy. Is anybody left out? Oh, no, of course they're not, because anybody who claims to be a sovereign citizen or in a militia, they're also a threat to national security. You know who's not a threat to national security? Politicians, and politicians only. Okay? Politicians are the only thing that will save democracy and people. And with that, I'm going to smoke some pot. Well, actually, I'm going to smoke some legal CBDs, because I'm a good egg who would never consume illegal drugs without the permission of my king. Without the permission of my king. Say that. I need the government's permission. Without the permission of the king and the king's men. The king's men. Yeah, that's... And yeah, I know. I sound a little jerky, but how else will I get the point across? At any rate, it's a beautiful day outside. You know, if you can't join Team People and you can't put away the political partisan bullshit, then you should at least just try to be a decent person for today. Just try to be nice, man. That doesn't mean you have to give anybody for free, or you have to help some lazy fuck who isn't working do some shit or get some shit. That just means that you could be fucking polite. You know, I want Team People going too, man. I do too. I really do. And I've talked about it in the past, man. Team People, you know. Joe, I don't think I'm going to make it till 11, bud. I really don't. I am going to start doing this every day, though, Joe. So you can totally tune in tomorrow, and you can call me tomorrow. I'm a little nervous about putting my number on YouTube, because, like, YouTube, man, every time I put my number on YouTube, I get the trolls. You know, them motherfuckers out there scouring live videos and, like, trying to deplatform people, because that's how shitty people have gotten these days, that they get their kicks off and their little boners off actually ruining other people's days. You know, I don't really understand it. You know, like, tell your mom to make something for you besides Hot Pockets, because I think those things make you an asshole. You know, but thanks for watching, Joe. Seriously, I won't be on at 11, unfortunately. You know, you can send me a text message to that number, though, and I'll respond. That's my personal phone number. As stupid as it is to put that out. I'm local, just here for Healthy Combo. I love it, Joe. Oh, I'm trending. Well, hey there, Mr. Nicholas. You want to know why I'm trending? I'm trending because I stuck my goddamn phone number on there. Let me, can I delete that? Let's go in there and, let's remove that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I'm glad I'm trending, and thanks for calling me handsome. I appreciate that. I don't know what trending means. Does that mean that people are watching? There's 23 people in the room. I don't know what that means. But I hope you have a great day, Mr. Nicholas, and thanks for calling me handsome. It makes me feel good about that's the politeness that I'm talking about. People, go out there and be polite. Mr. Nicholas could have come on here and said something douchey, but he didn't. He gave me a compliment, and it made my day better. Thanks, Nicholas. Appreciate it. I hope more people can take Mr. Nicholas's fucking example and go out there and do that shit, as opposed to being a cunt on Facebook. And I could take my own advice on that, because I too am a cunt on the Facebook. Okay, I am. Sorry, I'm just being honest. I let it get me worked up too, man. We got to stop doing that. We really need to turn this shit off. Have I ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? No, but I have seen Batman. And I think that Jack Nicholson was one of the better Jokers. If that helps. So there's that. I had some other issues, some other things to talk about. We were talking about two suns. Some TikToker caught two suns apparently looking out their window. The big thing about that was they were looking out their window, you know, light, refraction. There's not two suns, at least not that I can see. And for 46 years, they've hidden the second one so well that I don't know it's there. People have talked about planet Nibiru. I don't know if I said that right. Planet X, basically, that sun, the second sun that you've seen was another planet that's heading our way to destroy the Earth. Fascinating to read about. Not very accurate, I don't think, you know, like all the amateur telescopians out there would have picked that one up, I think, you know. As technology advances, it gets harder to lie to everybody, but they still manage to pull it off, you know? Yeah. So, let's go see. I put out the thread about what else, what we could talk about. Having serious, like-minded individuals meet about brainstorming ideas to better life, living, and lifestyle together for now and in case of any unexpected emergencies. Greg, hit me up later in the afternoon if you're still watching, man, because I'm serious about that. I'll try to put something together to have some like-minded people come around and talk about maybe a plan, an event for worst case scenarios, or how we can fix some of the problems that we have here on a local level, or maybe even start growing a grassroots national movement to change the future of America. That sounds fabulous, but guys, don't ever think that you can't do it, because history is changed every day by normal people. They just have to apply themselves and stay focused. And remember that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, man, because seriously, the more noise you make, the more effective you are. So, guy in Arizona, was it Arizona that posted a video of that? I knew somebody posted a video of the double sun. You know, I don't. First of all, I think that we as humans need to come with a term that physics and everything that we know about space is pretty much garbage. Okay, we know what we can see. We have ideas on how it works, but outside of that, we really are very naive when it comes to space. We're learning the simulation. You know, I've been reading about simulation theory lately, and man, that stuff gets so deep. It's believable. I could see it. You know, I like the way that what I had been reading about tied reincarnation and past lives into the idea of simulation theory, as opposed to like Buddhism or like magic spirit transfer, you know? So is this a simulation? I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. Here's the thing. I want everybody to know. I don't know anything. I really don't. I don't know anything for sure. I mean, I know some things. I know that 2 + 2 is 4. I know how to spell cat. I know basic shit. I know some really basic shit. But as far as like knowing anything on a large scientific level, nah, I don't know shit, man. You know? Oh, Tony Smith asked, who cuts my hair? And that is Lauren Bowler. I hope I said that right. I don't really pronounce her last name a lot, but if you want her information, she works at the Hair Chair. She's by appointment only right now. So, and she just transferred there, and she could certainly use some new business. So if you're in the St. Louis, Jefferson County area and you want your hair did, hit me up. I'll turn you on to somebody who does hair real nice. And my hair's a mess, but you know, it looks nice when I comb it. She did my beard too. I haven't brushed it or combed anything yet today though. So don't expect me to be looking too dapper. So not doing that. Anyway, I've been doing this for 45 minutes now. I'm going to go for, I don't know, 2 more minutes maybe. I like to go in about an hour, you know. I think I'm going to start doing this every day, boys and girls. And I'll try to bring topics, different topics, things to talk about aside from just the government, because I know people tire of that shit. I don't. I could talk about team people and fixing the problems all day. It's one of my passions. I just don't want to speak it to an audience that doesn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? I really don't. I'd like to see it build steam. You know, I don't need to be the leader of it because I'm a terrible leader, but maybe someone will jump in there and be like, you know, the person that we need them to be to start the right movement that doesn't get upended by the media and told that it's a racist, segregative. You get it. Anyway, I guess I'm going to work my way off here by saying this. I brought it up earlier, man. Be more like Mr. Nicholas, you know? There's nothing wrong with complimenting people. There's nothing wrong with being nice. Now, once somebody gives you a reason not to be nice, you don't have to be nice anymore. But maybe if you start being nice, it'll rub off on other people and they'll start being nice too. And then maybe we'll all just be nicer to each other, man. Everything literally starts with you. So if you want something to change, you have to be the change you want to see. That's the only way to affect everything. It really is. Remember, you're in charge of your own destiny. Your world is yours. Do with it as you see fit. Try not to ruin anybody else's day, though, all right? I want you all to have a great one. I love you all. Happy Wednesday. Now get out there, carpe diem or some shit. Thanks for watching, guys. Toodaloo.